Hi everyone, this is Jay Johnson with dailytexture.com. Today I'm introducing you to the sequel to the very popular Florettes collection on the website. That collection is a small one. It has 10 floral texture backgrounds for use with your portraits and things. And this collection, I've gone bigger and better with this one. This one has 40 amazing square backgrounds. They're all 6,000 by 6,000, so they're a good size to produce most products. I did them in square because I plan on producing some product art with these, and the square format really works for most products. And they can also be used with your regular photo sizes that your camera puts out. My camera puts out 6,000 by 4,000 rectangular images, and they can be used with those, and I will show you an example of that too. But for right now, I want to take you on a quick little tour here of just what's in here. There are several beautiful flowers, and foliage is included in these, and they're softly blended with the painted canvases I've created to go with the flowers. There are 40 of these, so there are 4 zip files with 10 each in each zip file. I tried to break them up like that so that you won't have any trouble downloading them. If you do have trouble downloading on the first try, I suggest you would go to the frequently asked questions page on the website, because there I give you some ideas on what you can do if you're having some download issues. And sometimes these big files are kind of, they kind of tax your system a little bit when they're downloading. So rather than just keep clicking, if you just go and read that page, you might find something that you can adjust to make them download a little easier for you. But they are very high quality. And here's a collage of the whole group. Now these show some rectangular ones, but they're not. This is just the way my software prepares this. They are all square, but they can be used for rectangular, just like I mentioned earlier. So I'm going to jump over to Topaz Photo FX Lab, which is my software of choice, and I'm going to prepare one. One thing I wanted to mention too is these are great for memorial portraits and for adding words and quotes to, and that's what I'm going to do in the first example. I'm going to add a short quote along with the art. So if you'll hang on for me just a second, I'll get over to my software. Okay, I am back, and I have a couple of things open here in Photo FX Lab. The first thing I did, because I do want this to be a square format image, is I opened up a square texture from the Florettes 2 collection that had a background that is similar to the background in this photo I have chosen, this photo of these 2 doves. And I have a quote I want to put with these, which I'll do in my regular software, but right now I'm going to work on blending this image with this texture. The first thing I need to do is raise up the size of this image, and I will lower the opacity so I can see where I might want to place these beautiful doves. And I don't want to go too big. I'm going to get rid of the wire. I just want the dove's heads, so I'm actually going to go quite a bit bigger. And I'm trying to decide where I want to have the quote. So I'm going to try to place the doves, knowing that I'm going to mask this bottom part out. I'm going to try to place them right where I want them. Now I've made them quite a bit bigger, so I'm going to go ahead and merge this, just simply because when you make an image real big like this on Topaz and you go to mask away, sometimes when you merge it at the end it looks choppy, like there might be a line here or something. So I always like to start with a new image the size I want, and then I'll turn off the other one and move the texture up there under this one. And I can always resize this down if I want. Now I don't want to show the wire. I mainly want to focus on their heads and the tops of their bodies. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the masking tab, make sure my flow is all the way up in a big brush, And I'm just going to go around the edges, trying to maintain an oval shape where the doves are. Now I'll bring back some of them. As you can see, my mask is not quite oval. We'll go back the other way and just kind of work on this with maybe a smaller brush. Just really want their chest area and their heads. I thought this was such a cool pose. Go around like this. Just trying to get my shape sort of right in here. Now I'm going to go back the other way. I'm going to lower the flow and go with I'm going to soften these edges a little bit right here and blend this in. Now I'll go with a bigger brush and just kind of, I don't want to focus on this wire. So I'm going to bring this in very gently. Pull that wire out of there. I'm working with a very soft brush. I'm going to go back the other way and just kind of go back around till I get it looking like I want. I'll probably put my quote right here. I'm not real good at making an oval. I usually need a little help with that, but I'm just trying to get an oval shape. But you can see how the texture background and the dove background is pretty similar. Now I'm going to, just to see what will happen, I'm going to duplicate the texture and put it on top and change layer modes and see if any of those work. Multiply darkens a little bit. And then I'm going to duplicate it again. Just trying to get the colors a little richer. And enable the doves to pick up some of the tones from the texture. Just very slight adjustments. I'm at 23% on the multiply layer. And I'm at 40 is what I'm liking on the soft light layer. Now I might want to do a little painterly effect on the doves, especially because I enlarged the picture quite a bit, which means that there's probably some noise that is very visible. So I'm going to duplicate the dove layer. I'm going to shut off the original one. I'm going to go to Topaz Impression 1. As I just want to do a little bit of painterly work just to tone down that excess noise that it became way more visible when I enlarged it. And I'm going to go to my presets as soon as it loads. And there is a bar off on the side which you can't see because where my video is set up. So I'm scooting along. I'm going to look at oil glaze light, which enriched the yellow colors a little too much. I'm going to do oil glaze light original color. And if you look, this is the original photo right here, and this is the with the preset. So it's just very gentle preset with very little done to it. But when that's original, and then when the preset's applied, it smooths out that noise. So I'm going to click OK on that. I should have maybe adjusted their picture a little bit in the beginning. So let's go to Topaz Clarity and see if I can pump up their details just a little bit more. And I like fur and feathers too. That pumps up the details a little bit, but introduces a little too much yellow. I'll go with fur and feathers 1. Click OK. I may have to run this preset again if that introduced too much noise back in. I'll zoom in on it as soon as this finishes processing, and I'll take a look at it. Okay, that pumped up the details just a little bit. Let me zoom in. Oh, it looks pretty good. I love this. I chose this one because the way their beaks are touching, they've made a heart right here. And I have this quote I want to put on here about friends. And now I can decide, now that I've done the painterly effect and boosted their details a little bit, and because I layered the texture on top twice, you can see here, it's picking up the canvas detail. See there, it's this is before I layered those on top, and it's not really picking up the canvas detail, but when I layer these 2 layers on, you can see the canvas detail. So now it matches the background of the texture, which has the canvas detail. So let me fit this back to the screen. Now I can decide if I have them in exactly the right place. If I want to move them around a little bit, I could flip them if I wanted to and move them around. Trying to get them in the center because I am going to put this on products. And in products, there's a trim line around the edges sometimes. So I want to have the main part in the center. I do like them kind of flipped around for some reason. That one appeals to me more. I'll turn it off and on and see if I have any weird lines or anything. Okay, that's looking pretty good. I like that. I'm going to merge all these and make sure that everything's okay. And if everything's okay, I'll go back to my Paint Shop Pro software and add the quote. All right, that looks pretty good. I don't think there's anything I would want to change about this. This is coming out exactly like I had envisioned for these little doves. I'm going to click OK and go back to my Paint Shop Pro program. My old version of Paint Shop Pro. All right, I am back in the program, and now I would like to add the quote. I'm going to go to my text tool, and I'm going to click here. I'm going to type the word friend. I'm going to go with a bigger size. I don't want the quote to be huge. I'm going to decide. All right, I like that. But I'm not going to have the quote in all of the same font style. So I'm going to go ahead and just type it out, if I can spell it right. I don't want it all in script. Go to one I like that's a good font for especially on smaller products. It'll show up well. Gotta find it. This one. Now that's a little big. That's a little small. That's a little big. I'll go with 36. But I'm going to make certain words in a different font. I'm going to pick two words. I'm going to pick the word friend and loves to put in a different font. So I'm going to highlight the word friend. And I'm going to put that in that other font I was using. And I'm going to make it big. And I'm going to capitalize it. Oops. For some reason it didn't do that right on the first letter. Make them match up. There we go. And the word loves is the other word. Go back to that font. And that bigger size on that one. Let's see what that looks like capitalized. Well, it shows it up here, but then it didn't take it. This is an old program, so I don't know how that'll look. No, I don't like that capitalized. So let's leave that uncapitalized. I don't like the big space in here, so I'm going to cut this out. And I'm going to apply this one, and then I'm going to go do another text box and paste that in. And of course it screwed up my fonts, but edit to text. Put this back where it's supposed to go. Sweet Sans is that one. It's an easy font to read. Okay, now I need to make the word loves in the bigger size, like I did the word friend. So that would be 72. Now, since that's in a different text box, I can scoot that around. See how? Now the word anyway is too far down. I'm going to edit the text box, cut this out, apply this text box, and then I'm going to click and make a new text box with the word anyway. And that way I can move that word right where I want it. I don't know if I need it underneath, or maybe I should put it up here by this one. No, I kind of like it down. Let's see how that looks. A friend is someone who knows everything about you and loves you anyway. Love those kind of friends. Now, that's what it looks like without the quote, which I'll save it that way, as well as saving it with the quote. That way, if I want to add a different quote to it, or somebody requests something different, I can do that. What I don't want is I don't want this quote in bright white. I have my materials tab over here, and my background is white, so that's why the text came out in white. I want to pick a color here that I want to change the quote to, and I like to pick a color from the image. I like to go with the light colors more so than the dark. There's one, it's sort of a light blue. And then do a color change. Oh, it's a little too, it's not light enough, so I'm going to come down and actually go a little lighter. So it's not exactly white. I like to look at it from a distance. Might have to go lighter. Go a little more this way, so it's sort of a light blue. There we go. So, see, it's just a very subtle difference, but it takes that bright white down. Sometimes I like to add a drop shadow. That's not real popular anymore, but let's just see what it looks like. I kind of like it there because it makes it kind of pop. Let's see if there's any other elements I might want to add. I have a lot of cool fonts that have some swirlies and things like that. Let me see if there's something in there. Let's do a text box and type the letter A, and then pick a font that's got some swirly things. I don't know what, I like to go through the different letters and see some of them. Oh, look at that and. I'm just typing different letters to see if there's anything in this bunch of fonts. I think these are a little too sweetsy. That's why they're called sugar plums. There's some of the leaves. And different letters make different. Well, I like that one. What letter was that? B? Let me see what that'll look like bigger. And stretch it out a little. What about up here? I'm thinking a lot. Maybe a little smaller. All right, I'm going to copy that and paste it. And then I'm going to mirror image. And let's flip it. Let's mirror image it back. I'm not sure if that's the right angle for that. Look at it with the might make them. Let me undo that. Go back to the other one and make this a little smaller. I just want it to be an accent. I'm not real good with text design. I just play with it every so often. Like this. Might be a little too much. Or maybe I have to go smaller. Maybe I need to move. Oops, come on, man. Move this one down here. That would be a better layout. No, I don't like either one of those at the moment. Let me go back and see if I can find something I like a little better. Let's make a new text box. And, well, I don't know what I'm doing there. Make a new layer. Now let's make a new text box. That was B, C, B. I'm just going through this particular one. See if there's any little swirlies that might look right. There's some leaves. I'm just typing different letters from this font style to see if there's anything that might be interesting. I told you text design is not my thing, but I like to put quotes on something sometimes. I like those little leaves right there. Those are kind of simple. Let's flip it. Bring it down. See what that looks like. That might be nice. Just one little accent there. Now, need to color change that. Make it the same color as the font. And let's see if I want to add a drop shadow on that one. Make it pop a little. Now, I kind of like that. So there we go. That's one way you can use these. They're great for memorial portraits. If you're doing a memorial portrait of a pet or a person and you do a similar thing like this with mask, make a little oval or round, and then add some words down here describing who your portrait is about. Maybe, if it's a memorial, you might want to put the year of birth and year of death and a nice quote. They're also good for spiffing up your wildlife photos, which is what I'm going to do next. I'm going to work on a rectangular photo, and I'm going to show you how you can use the square texture. Even though it's square, you can still use it with your rectangular photos right out of your camera. It's just all in the positioning, how it's going to look. So if you hang on for me just a second, I'm going to get all this saved and open up the next photo. Okay, I'm back. I have my next photo open, which is this photo of this deer I got last week or earlier this week. And the deer photo is great. I'm just, kind of not liking the bland gray background, kind of in the mood for spring and want to give this deer a little springy look. So I'm going to pick a texture to blend over this background. And there's a few in here that would be, I have in mind to put some flowers or foliage over here. I have this one with the green foliage. I want a lot of flowers instead of just of one flower with this deer. I have the daisies, which I kind of like, and I have the black-eyed Susans, which are a little bit more sunflowery type. And then I have the light pine. I'm thinking the daisies, though. That's the one that first jumped out at me, so I want to try those. So being that this is a square texture, it's really, really big on here. I'm going to put the deer on top, lower the opacity, and then I'm going to work on rearranging this texture. Now, if I bring it down, it's going to be too small, but let me try rotating. There we go. And then, you know what? I can actually do this two ways. I can blend this in twice, so the flowers would be even smaller. I've got the deer opacity down, which is why it looks like, no, I've got the opacity in. Yeah, I've got the deer opacity down. Okay, that's going to be too big, but let's do this. Let's bring it down to smaller size. That's a little too small. I want it to go edge to edge and bring it over here like this. Now let's duplicate it and flip it and go this way with it and match it up over here just a little with the green. I'm looking at the green on top. I want to get that green over the whole picture. Not worried about the flowers there. So now let me mask away my background for the deer and see where I'm at. I'm just going to use a really big brush and do this really quickly. I have to go a little smaller to get across the top. Go right up to the deer. I'm masking it full opacity right now. So that's bringing in that green from the duplicate. It's got a little flower right there, which I don't really want to see. So I may have to adjust this one just a little bit, make it a little bigger. There we go. And go back to my mask on this. I got a little bit right here that's not masked away. A little bit right here on that one. And I'll go with a small brush. Get in closer. And you can see this little line here where the two layers of texture are meeting. So that's something I'm conscious of. All right. Let me see about lowering the opacity. Going with a, that's bringing back the gray from the deer. Don't want to do that. I need to go on this texture layer to get rid of that line and mask it away a little softly to bring the one from under it. Now look, that line is disappearing right there. See that little bump? That just got rid of that line. All right. Now I want to go back to the deer layer and actually bring some of this over the deer at a low opacity to softly blend the deer with the background. And I'll bring back the areas on the deer that I went over that I didn't want to. I just want a soft transition, especially right here. Now I'll bring back that flower. We need to get rid of that. We don't need that there. Go the other way. And I'm going to make sure there's no flower over this fur. Now we're going to bring back where I've gone over a little bit too much on the face. I'm still working at a low opacity because I want a soft transition. I want a little bit of the texture over the deer. But I don't want it to look cut out. So I'd like to use the soft opacity. I've done no adjustments to the deer layer yet. I'm just saying that to remind myself that I need to do that. Bring some of this green right in here. There we go. That's a little more springy look. All right. Let me work on adjusting the deer. Go to Topaz Clarity, one of my favorites. I'll probably run impression on this. Let's just bump up the details a little bit in the deer. Click OK. Fur and Feathers 2, one of my favorites. That introduces a little bit more noise, though. It's a low light photo, so there was noise anyway. That's where Topaz Impression will come in with a very light preset like the oil glaze filter I like to use. All right, that boosted the detail. I'm going to duplicate this, leave the original alone just so I can play with some impression presets on here. Let's see what I got that looks nice. And I will probably go with the, as I find my slider, Wool Glaze Light. That brings, I can adjust color tones in this. That's the original. There's an autumn tone one. That's I like the I like the warmth created here. I'm just going to play with colors on this. You have in Topaz Impression 1, you can go here to the color tab, and you can do it 2 as well. And you can actually adjust the different colors. See, I've got the blue saturation up on this preset. I'm going to turn that down. And then I'm going to look at magenta. I would not have thought that far as magenta. Just want to boost it up a little. Now, that's too pink. Maybe you could change the hue of it. That's too green. Go back to the blue. Turn the blue saturation down even more. There we go. And then let's go to the orange and just bump that saturation up a little just to warm it up. I think that'll be a nice contrast with that background. We'll try it. I'll click OK. But that particular preset smooths out the noise a little bit. Now that we're getting somewhere. I might want to duplicate the texture layer again, the main one. Raise it up in size. I'll put it as a new layer on top just to get this green in here. Move the flowers out of the way. So now I have just the green texture, and I can play with some layer modes. I like soft light because it enables the deer to pick up some of the color from the texture now. I might want to tone down the flowers just a little bit though. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to invert the layer, and I'm going to mask to bring some of it back at a low opacity with a big brush just over top of these flowers, just to tone them down just a little bit right there. And that may be a little too much, so I'll go back the other way. And I'll just play with this until I get it looking like I want. Make that transition right there a little softer next to the deer. Okay. Now I'm going to duplicate that layer again. That's too light. Okay, now I'm going to duplicate it again. That makes them too soft. I really like this one better. But I am going to reset the mask on this and do the soft light. And I'm just going to do it at maybe around 50% opacity, so it's not quite so green. I could always adjust here by turning the saturation down if it's too green. If I want to use it at full opacity, let me brighten that exposure back up where it goes. That's from the previous layer. Okay, now I could pull the saturation down if I just wanted the light from it on the soft light mode. But I want the deer to pick up some of the green. So I think I'm going to leave the saturation up and just lower the opacity of the layer. That's before, and then about 50% range. I'm trying to decide if my deer should be resized or not. No. Too much more masking to do if I do that. What I might want to do here is bring some of this green texture from this layer over. Since I did a mask over the whole thing, I need to bring it back, but I want to bring some over this of just the green from this layer and see what happens. It just softens that edge just a little bit more right there. So you get a hint of the fur being there, but it's not quite as sharp. Just soften it a little bit. I like soft transition. Now I like that. That's a nice little portrait. Still have room here to add a quote if I wanted to. Right now I'm going to merge it all. Make sure I don't have any weird lines pop up or anything. But this shows you how you can use them with your rectangular image right from your camera if you want to. Yeah, everything looks great there. I could further play with this and run Topaz Impression on it again. I could adjust things over here if I wanted to. I like to blow it up and look. Yeah, I like that. That's sweet. And let me bring up the original deer, which was this one. No, that was a copy. This one. Duplicate it. Bring it all the way to the top and reset the mask. Now, that's the original photo I started with. Kind of gray, kind of dull. Great photo of the deer, but just kind of gray and dull. And now it has a spring tone to it with little flowers in there for some interest. And it just looks sweet to me. So I have a great deer portrait that I can work with now using these Florettes, the Florettes 2 collection, which is the big brother to Florettes, the original collection of 10, which is on sale at the moment. Both of these will be on sale till the end of March. So you'll have a chance to get them at the sale prices before the end of the month. I hope you guys enjoy using this collection. As always, thank you for your support. And I'm so excited to see all the artwork you create with these. And I will talk to you next time. Have a great day.